6 p.m. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you can please rise for an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Gabby, if you'd like to lead us in a quick invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the opportunity that you give us every day. Please keep us in your faith. Keep us giving you all the strength and to make the best decision of our abilities during this meeting for our community of Los Fresnos. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any visitors' remarks? None? Okay, we got a total of 9 consent agenda items. Is there any that the council would like to withhold? If not, if there's a motion to make?
Make a motion, we accept the 9 items under agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Action item number 1, consideration and action to approve construction bids for the Texas DOT FM 1575 utility conflicts project. Mark?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we talked about this several months ago that when TxDOT brought it to us, you hired an engineer, which is Hanson Professional Services, to do the engineering, and we got that done. TxDOT approved it, and we got the bid in for $276,840 with Jimmy Klausner and Sons Construction, and that's our recommendation. Funding is through, we can use the ARPA funds. We think we'll have plenty to cover because of interest that we earn on it. But if not, we'll take a few dollars out of the utility fund, but I'm pretty sure that with the interest that we've earned through the last year or so, it'll cover all of it.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, there's a motion to be made.
I'll make a motion to approve the construction bid for TxDOT FM 1575 utility.
Okay, motion made. And motion seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Action item number 2, consideration and action to approve LRGV DC Area Agency on Aging contract and budget amendments for the Senior Citizen Program. Mark?
This item comes to you because it's less than what they told us. We assumed that it would be the same amount as it has been every year forever and ever. We also assumed that there will be an additional $16,222 or so for a person to do nothing but exercise and do activities specifically for the senior program. Meetings with them indicated that that was going to be approved, so we put it in the budget thinking that it would be approved. When we get the contract is nothing like any of that. It's only $40,000. $40,000 does not even cover the person that we have that runs that. There is electricity and insurance and all those that we have to pay anyway, but I've been pretty well detailed out some options. 2 options are, well, first of all, let me say that we would not fund the activities person for sure. So that's off the table at the beginning, because that was something that we would add if they gave us the funds. But it leaves $85,778 that we have to come up with 40,000 of what they're going to give us. So there's a difference of 38,719. Option one is to roll that 38,719 into the budget, and hopefully through the year, we have cuts where we can cut here and there, or we have other funds that over what we projected. Most of those come true in a given year. Can't always rely on that, but that is option one, is just roll it into, assume that we will have the funds and continue as is, just don't hire that activities person. So that's option one. Option two is probably more frugal and being the conservative, is not relying on additional funds from other sources or additional cuts where someone, one of the department heads maybe thought they were going to need this particular money and didn't, so we save. Instead of rely on that, take the funding that we have, and with the way the program is run now, it's really only about a 20-hour job per week. It's part-time. And so we would move that activities, the senior citizens coordinator, from full-time to part-time. That would affect the person. The person wouldn't have insurance then, and the pay, would be half. It would still be the same rate, but the pay would be half. So it would be a huge impact on that person. But when you look at what they're doing now with that program compared to pre-COVID, the 20 hours is sufficient. Way it was before COVID is the folks, we went and picked them up. A lot of people were dropped off. We picked up people on every day, 5 days a week, and they stayed there through lunch. We fed them. They ate there on the facility. And then along about 1 or 2, we took them home, or people picked them up. The way it's done now is we get food on Monday for Monday and Tuesday, and then people come in, pick it up. They do not stay Monday at all at the center. Wednesday, they pick up the food for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They do not eat at the center. If someone doesn't pick it up, we do deliver that to those folks. So you can see with no feeding at the facility, the time changed drastically there. On Tuesday and Thursday, we do loteria, say it right, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So there are people there from 8 to 11, and then they go, so they don't eat there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Friday, there's nothing done either. So when you look at what the program has turned into, and not just ours, but this is valley-wide, it's not a full-time position any longer. So I'll open up for discussion and answer questions you might have.
Mark, who determines this funding we were going to get for $102,000? You said the county?
No, it's through the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, specifically through the Area on Aging. It's a grant that they get. My understanding is every city was changed to this, right? Whether you're a huge city or a small city, you get $40,000.
So everybody, this is the same across the board. And it's a big decision to make, because you're talking about somebody's financial future.
Yes.
Any discussion or questions from the board? Any ideas that anybody wants to they talk about?
I would like to see if there's another option instead of decreasing those hours, because yes, it's gonna be a great impact for that person that has the full time to go to part-time. I don't know if there's something else that we can,
There's not either we pay it from our budget or we cut it. It's one or the other.
Yeah, I looked at, possible moving, some hours to do other things, but there's a piece of what person's, ability to do, and I don't have that. So I don't have something that I can move that person in for 20 hours. I've got plenty of work, but it has to match the ability of the person doing that.
So this will become, you're suggesting it becomes effective January 1st?
Yes, I would want it that so that notification can be given, and if the person can choose other things to do or make other arrangements for other part-time work or another work.
How about, Mark, how about a full-time position so they don't lose the benefits, but maybe adjust the pay to where the difference in compensation is not $38,000, maybe it's less, and it's something manageable? Or maybe they're not getting the same pay, but we're not going from one extreme to the other, we're meeting kind of halfway, but we can still get them on the full-time benefits, medical, dental, etc.
Yeah,
That'd be very difficult to do,
I mean,
Mark,
you can-
honestly.
you could go to minimum wage, but I'm not sure that's a
Okay, just
viable
coming up with
option. I
some
don't
ideas.
know.
It's unfortunate that county didn't reduce for the whole cities this issue. It's unfortunate for whoever the person is there in place. I know the way when we budget and how it's budgeted. It's hard for you as a city manager, right, for somebody that's been there. Unfortunately, it's, I won't say it's out of our hands, but I know at this point, it's something that you would have come to us with other recommendations with. So I know it's something you mulled over, very much so. So at the same time, it is difficult. Unfortunately, that's part of the issues that we have here as public servants to deal with these scenarios. The low road gravity, sorry about that, man.
So is anybody proposing an option? Is anybody thinking about option one or option two?
I was thinking, so right now, this will cut the services to 20 hours, you said?
The services are already what they are. They're not full-time. It's only talking about the employee. Does that make sense? Because we're not cutting the service for what the seniors have been getting for the last 3 or 4 years. It's just the funding is no longer there for it, because in actuality, they've been funding way more than what the program is really producing anymore across the valley. Does that make sense? For some reason, after COVID, the elderly population doesn't want to do that anymore. It was one of the things that they did and looked forward to, but since then, they go, no, we don't want to do it. Even as much as not, we wanted to at least have the meals there in our facility. They don't even want that. They don't want to come for that. They want to pick them up and eat them at home.
Mark, so this senior citizen coordinator, what is the current pay rate on that?
Probably 16 something.
16, okay. And my question is, you talked about adjusting. I wasn't talking about minimum wage. I was talking maybe going from $16 to $13 an hour. So that way, if we do have an amount we're gonna take from the general fund, it won't be as big.
That won't be a significant, I mean, yes, you can tell me to do
I'm just saying,
whatever,
I'm just
so,
saying that way we keep her as a full-time, not pay as much, but we're not going to minimum wage. If, let's say we go to $14 an hour, and how much of a
you
difference
go
will
to
there
six,
be?
you go from 16 to 13, that's $3 an hour, times 40 hours, times 52 weeks, you're talking about $6,200.
So instead of 38,000, that would drop it down by 6,200, is that what you're saying?
32,000.
I see.
So Mark, let me ask you, what we're talking about is either the salary or the benefits to the elderly, right? Can we afford to do both? Or would we be losing benefits to the elderly if we continue to pay as it is?
If a person works so many hours, by law, we have to give them benefits. So we can't work somebody 40 hours and say you don't get insurance. Does that make sense? But if they go part-time to 20 hours, by law, we can't give them insurance. And that's not something we decide. It's the federal wage and hour laws and insurance, how insurance and benefits like retirement fits in there.
Now, this person's salary come out of the $40,000 we're looking at?
Before? Or
Yeah, it says senior operations center is $40,000. Where does this person's salary come from?
From the 102,000 that we were getting before.
if
Now all we have is 40. So that's gotta pay for everything.
and we'll still have to come up with 23,000 with our general fund. If you'll turn over to page 62, you can look at the last several years. You know, we've been funded about 73,000, 79 this last year, almost 80,000. So that's the difference. Yes, we went up to 102, but that was with the assumption that they were going to fund that activities coordinator. That they said, yeah, that included in your budget. We can fund that. Well, I don't know why they told us that when we were going to. Our original amount of about 80 was going to go to 40, and so anything any expense over 40,000 comes from our general fund. Does that answer the question, Terry? So we get 40, and so we spend 42. 2,000's got to come from already 8,700 according to the grant. $7,059 have to be in-kind match. So, which that means we've got plenty to do that once we get, because we pay for electricity, we pay for all those others well above the 40,000. So, and in-kind means,
Okay, Mark,
like
above,
part of her hours would go to that.
on page 48, above option 1 and option 2, that second paragraph says, since we just added the activities coordinator in the budget but have not hired anyone yet, that position goes away. So we don't have anybody in that position yet.
No.
So at this point, I think that we don't have anybody in the position, so there's
That's a
really
different
not
position.
worrying.
That's a different position. That's that activity
That's why I
person.
said that's mute.
Yeah, so thank God we didn't have nobody in there, because then we would have to let him go.
We didn't hire in advance, thankfully, so we didn't have to deal with that now.
But that's different than the actual senior citizens coordinator. That's
Correct.
an actual position. And, putting the city's interest first. Option 2, unfortunately, you want to always be good with everybody at all times, but what's best for the city, it seems like option 2 is going to be a better choice.
I'll make a motion for option 2 on the consideration and action to approve LRGV BDC item action.
Motion has been made
I'll second.
and motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same? One. Okay, motion carries. That was a difficult one, but one that had to be done.
Mark, I have a question before we move on. Next fiscal year, this is something that it can be brought out and include on the budget. That way we can modify that and include those funds to be able to bring full-time again?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. We're moving on to action item number 3, consideration and action to approve the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Los Fresnos, Cameron County, Texas, amending Chapter 48, zoning, Article 2, District Regulations, District 7, additional standards, Subdivision 1V, signs, Section 48-275, signs permitted by zone, off premises, billboard regulations, and repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinance in conflict therewith. Mark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is the sign ordinance, and I don't want us to get confused with what we did a few months ago, because that really, that is part of the equation, but yet not. About a year ago, sign companies came to us and says, you have a billboard ordinance that doesn't allow any billboards. Can you offer some flexibility? And I was adamantly no, because just, I don't think that we should do those. However, the council has said that, hey, let's look at some, to loosen it up a little bit and offer some options. And so we came up with a plan where, because of the existing ones past FM 1575, there's 3 or 4 there. We came up with a plan where we could allow one between there and, say, Zarski, one on this side of town, and then one on the north and south side. And so it wouldn't clutter it up too much, but yet give some offering. The first one that came to us was the one away from, across from Whataburger. Don't get confused with the variance we gave. If they would have put it, we showed them on the property where they could have put it without having to ask for a variance, and then it wouldn't even come to you. They would have put up the sign because the ordinance allowed for it. So the variance isn't the problem, because, like I say, if they had moved it 20 feet, 30 feet this way, and I think only 16 feet another way, it wouldn't have come to this board. So with that in mind, once the sign went there, we have gotten here at the City Hall a lot of complaints. Why did you do this? It looks terrible. We don't like those. And so I'm bringing this up for a thought from y'all. We've allowed one, and it's fine. Nothing we do about it, but not allow the other 3 areas, let them stay. I use the word pure, without the big billboard signs. People said, I thought we were going to be different than Brownsville, and they use those things. I don't know if you've gotten any complaints. I can't go to the Walmart without it. I can't go to the football game without getting it. And so, but I'm okay whichever, but I thought it was, when people bring enough concerns to me, I think it's something that y'all should decide and do that. So because of the complaints and because of that, I'm recommending that we stop where we're at. We've allowed it, it's good. It would have been allowed without the variance, so we're not mad about that or anything. That wouldn't have changed anything. Just don't allow on the south side, the north side, and this side.
So no more billboards getting put up, is that what you're asking?
Correct. What's
Ken, have
there
you-
is grandfathered.
Have you asked the people who do complain to come to City Hall and discuss this with us? Because if anything, that's what I'd prefer. if they come to us, not you in terms of city manager, right? Because we are the ones that make those decisions. So as individuals who, who do have concerns, there's an open section for any community member to come and complain. But in terms of shutting down no more billboards, that's.
I'm going to interrupt a little bit. The first person that the community needs to contact is Mark because he's the city manager, not us. We don't work here. So we're just making decisions, but the person directly to contact, it will be either the city secretary or Mark that is the city manager.
Well, I mean, when anybody comes to me with complaints, the first thing I tell them is come to City Hall.
That's the correct answer.
Right, come to
And that's
City
what
Hall
we have.
because that way we can hear it. It doesn't have to be on an agenda. It could be the 3-minute priors, right, open public. Anybody has a right to come and speak up in open public. So, I mean, I don't think that's the issue. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think that's where the.
So do you want to
bill
make a
stops.
motion, Councilman?
I'll make a motion to deny the ordinance only because I think at this point, right now, we don't have, I don't see a need not to.
Okay, motion has been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. To deny, oh, a second, sorry. Is there a second?
I second it.
All right, motion has been made and seconded to deny action item number 3. If you favor that, raise your hand. All those in favor? And all those who oppose it? Okay, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance of the City of Los Fresnos.
Awesome, motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve action item number 3. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
And all those who oppose, do the same. Councilman, how do you, Gonzalez, how do you,
So the denying this one would be to shut it down or not shut it down, Mark? Give me one.
we already motioned, we're just waiting to see how you respond.
To prevent it, can you answer that, Mayor? Is it to prevent it from happening?
No, this
or-
is from no longer having the ability to put the signs up, so we're
So-
agreeing with the action
So
item.
right now, we're agreeing with the action item that we are no longer allowing any billboards to
Yes,
go
and
up.
there's 1, 2, 3, 4 yays, 1 nay, and how do you vote on that?
I'm voting nay.
Okay, so motion carries. Moving on to action item number 4. Consideration and action to approve proposed options for Harvey Escalante Road access, including engineering service to upgrade the Harvey Escalante Road portion in the city limits. Mark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if you'll recall, probably 2 years or more, there was some residents came wanting us to work on Escalante Road. I shared with y'all that it's a private road, that there's no easements on that road. In other words, it's just across people's personal property. We did fill in some holes. Y'all authorized us to fill in some holes for that one time. We haven't since then, but I have been looking for a long-term solution, and that's what's before you tonight. Where the yellow line is, that is a potential development that is going to occur all in that field area north of Walmart and south and more west of the apartment complex. Some 80 homes or so. And so what we had brought to you before was that we could share in that road, the yellow one, half and half with a developer in order to have a permanent way for people from Escalante to get out to Evergreen Street and then it resolves the easement problems on Escalante Road. I will go to the red part. If you can see the red part there, on the bottom left. That is where there's just absolutely no way to get enough easement to put a road there. So what would happen with that is, once this is done and developed, that would become private property again, with no road there. The only residents that use that are the people that have apartments that are owned by the Escalantes. And so that road that runs east and west would become a private drive for those people. And we wouldn't have any responsibility to maintain that. It would be like your driveway at your house. Above that, where the two black marks are, is the right-of-way that we negotiated with the school here a while back to trade another right-of-way that we no longer needed with them, and we exchanged. And so we own that right-of-way between those two black marks. And that is in the city limits. The road to the top there that is, I guess, orange and kind of greenish, that is county area. And so we have no responsibility on that area. So the area between the hash marks, we're asking for approval to hire Jim Rose, $9,800 to do the engineering. That's very, very cheap. And he would engineer that for it to drain right and also to put the asphalt. It would remain it wouldn't be a curb and gutter for that area. It would be a rural type road, like we have several of them in the city, like Whipple Road, Henderson Road, Longhorn Lane, if you've been there. It just goes and then it drains off. So that area would be there, and then we would connect it with the yellow line that goes out to Evergreen Street. So the people that live between the two black marks in the city, when they needed to go wherever they're going, they would go out Evergreen Street to that other yellow line and go to Evergreen, and then that would be their entrance and exit to their homes. There's three vacant lots and one home in that area, just so you know right now. And there's only one home there, so in the future it would affect up to 4 homes. It would affect the people from in the county area. They would really, although theirs wouldn't be fixed in front of their homes because it's county and they have no right away there, at least the rest of it would be fixed for them, because the biggest problem is once you get down to the red line right now, there's just no room, and so there's no way to take care of it properly. So I said a lot. I'm open for questions. The engineer's estimate for the yellow part is $544,817.25. So we would be responsible for half, $272,409, and then he did do a preliminary estimate on the roadway, and that would be about $65,000. We do those things, our problem with Escalante Road goes away.
Hey, Mark, first and foremost, I wanted to thank you for keeping up with this topic. I know that a couple of years ago, we had this room full of residents from that area, and I know how concerned they were about getting that road fixed or getting some options. And, here we are a couple of years later, and we're finally got a solution that I think would be great. not only for that, but also for the development that can come from that. So it'll be a win-win for everybody. So I just wanted to thank you for continuing to work on a project and an idea. And this seems like a really good idea. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I got a question. On that yellow line that you're showing up there, is that gonna be, is gonna be housing there or there's, so?
Yes, there'll be homes as well.
Homes developed, okay. So what you say, the city limits will be within, on the yellow line or between the two black lines on the green area?
Ask the question again, I didn't hear the first part.
I'm saying, you said that it's inside the city limits. The city limits is the one that's the yellow or the green between the two black lines?
Good question. The city limits runs from Whipple Road, just to the outside of the green line right there. It runs all the way to Whipple Road. Does that make sense?
You need a laser pointer, one of those little red laser pointers?
And then once it hits the top black, you have to come out with the, you've got it, whoever's running it's got it to,
Jackie?
you gotta come out a little bit. The
There's Whipple Road. That's county. The city goes up to that little black line where the green line ends, right? Right there. That's city. And that black line is city too, right, Mark?
Right, that's all in city limits right now.
Right there.
It goes just to the outside of that green line. And then once it hits the yellow line, it goes to halfway in the Resaca. It goes straight to the west, halfway the Resaca, and then follows the Resaca to 1575. And so those people, the field is in the city, but we didn't take those homes in because we couldn't provide sewer to them, and it would have been very cost prohibitive to get them sewer, and so we chose not to annex that area.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for that. That's my one question.
But that road, how about that drainage ditch? Where's that drainage ditch run? Just south of the yellow line?
Yes, and it runs all the way to the east, to behind the school administrative office, and that runs to Highway 100, which that part of the development has to be all improved. They have to do two things: clean it, and then they have to hold some more detention, which means they hold some water while it's raining, and then as the rain stops, it releases it so it doesn't flood down.
That's not the one that goes right next to the cemetery, no, it is that one.
Yes, you can see where it says cemetery, right there. But it's across the Resaca. That's not in the city limits.
Right next to the bus barn.
We talked about drainage that goes the opposite direction.
But that road definitely will make the travel easier than having it go all the way out where it's all bumpy and rough. And you said there's not enough room there to put a road or anything, so that way that'll seal that section off. And so now everybody would be coming through Evergreen to get out of there.
Correct. The only ones that would come through 1575 are the people that actually own property right there.
Okay.
So, so all those properties south of that, let's say Walmart Supercenter, their access is still through Highway 100 or Evergreen Street?
What property south?
I believe, I don't know, that's a Pizza Hut north of the Pizza Hut, north of Daily Nutrition.
Yeah, that doesn't affect anything there. That blank property, they still would, when they develop, they're gonna have to develop back to 100 or over to Evergreen as well.
They have to go over the drainage thing, and
No.
it won't work that way, that's why they gotta come out the other way.
Correct.
But that'll definitely open all that up for either more apartments or more housing or businesses, I don't know what, that they could put that for.
It's commercial.
Commercial?
From the drainage ditch south is commercial.
But right there where that yellow line, it's drainage ditch north, right?
Correct.
So that'd be residential.
Yes, sir.
All right. Be a nice little road there. And you said it would look just like Whipple Road or Henderson Road?
No, this is a residential street. No.
Okay. Street lights and sidewalks?
Yes, you have to have curb and gutter and street lights,
Okay.
but not, it's not a huge street because you have limited amount of traffic that will be
It's like
coming.
a small two-way road?
It's not
one
a,
going one way and the other the
a
other.
through street. To go in there, you have to be going to one of the houses. I mean,
Are we gonna open this up to, if we do approve this, to maybe where they get notified, maybe if they wanna come in and answer any questions?
yes, I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
But-
I'm sure they would be happy with this, because this would take care of a lot of their concerns. I was here when I heard those folks. I think Mr. Munoz was here too, right, Mr. Munoz? You were here? When they were all here, all the people from Escalante Road? Yeah. Is there a motion to be made, or any questions that can be answered?
So within that area, there's gonna be developed, there's no land for the park there? There's not gonna be a piece of land for the parks, for a park, or it's gonna be on the percentage?
No, we don't, we wouldn't want to park there. They would have to pay, the fee.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed options for Harvey Escalante Road.
Motion has been made,
I second that motion.
and motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye, raise your hand. Aye. All those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. Action item number 4, consideration and action to approve proposed options. Oops, is it the same thing? You know what, I'm repeating the same one, my apologies. Action item number 5, discuss, consider, and adopt a resolution authorizing the submission of Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the 2025-2026 Community Development Fund. Mark?
We're ready to submit this application, probably against streets, because we have funding for drainage and water and sewer and other buckets of money that's available. So we'll probably bring that to you next meeting, but this is just to allow us to apply for it. It commits us to the match of $75,000 if we get the $750,000 grant, which would be pretty awesome. We could do quite a few more streets.
It's a great idea in regards to infrastructure and something that everybody's looking forward to. Any questions or comments about action item number 5? There's a motion to be made.
Make a motion to, I lost it. Make a motion to authorize the submission of the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture.
Okay, motion has been made. I'm sorry, can you say it in the microphone, please?
Second that motion.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. Action item 6, consideration and action to approve an agreement for a risk management plan and maintenance program for the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant. Mark?
This is a new program. We've done Tier 2 reporting for a long time, and the same firm is taking care of that. Now, as time goes on, TCQ and EPA is requiring not just reporting, they're requiring a plan that deals with any hazardous waste at our water plant and our sewer plant. and we have a few of those. So what they will do is come in and analyze everything, look at it, put that plan together for us, and get it approved by EPA and TCEQ. And then it'll cost us $5,000 for the water plant, $5,000 for the sewer plant, and then we would like to retain them, at least for the first year, $500 a quarter to submit those reports, and that way we're clear. They also get with, of course, fire department, Cameron County Emergency Management, in dealing with those plans as well. So that's our recommendation.
Any questions or comments from the board? Or is there a motion to be made?
Mark, is this a one-time payment or how does that work?
One time on the plans, but then quarterly, $500 a quarter to submit reports, come and they have to do an inventory and do quite a bit of things when they submit it each quarter.
Mark, this canal, it's owned by the irrigation districts or is it owned by the city of Los Fresnos? The easement itself?
It's not a canal, it's
So,
the water plant and sewer plant.
okay, so I'm looking at Canal Street.
Page 72.
My mistake, sorry, Mark.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for risk management plan and maintenance program for the water treatment plant and the waste water treatment plant.
Motion has been made
I second the motion.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to partner with Cameron County Water Improvement District Number 10 and Bayview Irrigation District Number 11 to place the irrigation canal underground from Nogal Street to the east city limits. Mark?
Yes, I think this is what you're probably talking about. If you recall, a couple years ago, we partnered with the same entities to put the irrigation canal underground from there by O'Reilly's north and then east to Nogal Street. What this would do is move that irrigation canal from that point to our east city limits, just past Windcrest subdivision, underground. And so all of the canal from there, that side would be underground. Key things about that, we get a ton of calls about dead fish, tires in the canal, overgrown brush, trees, people parking on the canal right away, and so they can't clean it. There's just all kinds of problems with that. So what we'd like to do is partner with the three entities, just so you know, they're co-owners of that ditch, both with 10 and 11. And so we would go into an agreement to where Bayview would be the applicant, and we would be, District 10 would be a co-applicant because they're owner, and then we would be with it through an interlocal. Our interest is, number one, health and safety, and number two, once the canal goes under the ground, then we can put a trail on top of it. We already have the funding for the trail through TxDOT, so that would put us there. And you say, how does the funding mechanism work? If you're familiar with water districts at all, you know that all of them are broke. If they're not broke, they're close to it. And they don't have money. Not to say that cities have money, but my proposal is Well, let's turn to page 86. I think is the easiest way for me to explain. Page 86, the first half of the page shows the cost. The projected cost is $1,654,800. That's the engineering, the grant administration, and the construction. How we would fund it is, first we would share in the cost for the grant administration. And you can see the breakdown of all three entities. Next, we would then apply for a Texas Water Development Board grant for $250,000. The three entities would share in the match of that. So that would come out to $83,333 apiece. And so we would share in that cost to match that. The chances of getting that grant are 99, I mean, it is really good. So then what we would do is we would then have $500,000, 250 from the grant, 250 that the three entities shared in the cost, and we would take that 500,000, match it with a federal fund from Bureau of Reclamation, and then add 105,000 each to make it a total of 817,000 from Bureau of Reclamation. And that would get us to the 1,654,800. So you say, what does that cost Los Fresnos? At the bottom, you see it costs Los Fresnos $195,800.
Wow. To
Which
do all that work.
195,800 for $1,654,000 is a really good deal.
And the walking trail, having that, that's gonna be huge.
But then you also get even if the trail never happened for some reason, keeping that area clean, and I know, Mayor, you get
Yeah,
the calls because they come to me as well. There's a lot of calls
the
about that.
residents would love that, for the staff.
The key is that we have to then help the irrigation districts come up with their money. They don't have cash, but they have water rights. Cities need water rights. We have right now just under 1,100 acre feet of water rights. And what that is, as long as there's water in the Rio Grande River, we're guaranteed that 1,100 acre feet of water every year. We never even get close to using it all. So we've got excess. But as we grow, we're going to be using more and more of that. So my thought is, in order to get that cash to them so that they can participate, is we buy water rights from them. And
So what if a drought comes by, and, because I farm, so I kind of understand this aspect on irrigation districts. Every now and then, the federal government shuts these irrigation districts down. So that means they have no water rights.
agriculture is much different than municipal. So it doesn't affect us as long as there's water in the river to come, so.
So this is directly for the municipals of
Right,
Bayview.
there's municipal water rights and there's agricultural water rights. And so we're fortunate that Cameron County Irrigation District number 6, their point of having water is 803 and 100. So they always have water to there. It only takes us there, so it's not, if you, in the news, you've heard about push water, and that's very costly. That happens to people like Harlingen, to Rio Hondo especially, people that are way far away. We're fortunate we don't have that problem like they do. So yes, if there's no water in the river, having additional water rights doesn't help. But we do, Water Development Board hasn't required us yet, but the 1,100 acre feet doesn't quite match what our water capacity is in our water plant of 1.5 million. But we would have to buy additional water rights anyway. So this is a way for us to do that. And water rights right now for municipal water is 2,900 to 3,500 acre feet. For agriculture, it's half that. For some reason, they say an acre feet of agriculture costs about $1,400 to $1,500 to, what is that, 3,500, 1,800? Well, municipal water rights is double that. It's the same water, but we have to pay them twice as much. So depending on what we could work with them, and we would work, I've told them both that if we're gonna do this deal, we would want to have a good deal on the cost. We could get anywhere from 56 acre feet to 68 acre feet from each one of them. So we would pay them, they would pay it right back for the project to make it. So we would win because we need more water rights. They would win because they wouldn't have to go to their existing budget or savings that they may or may not have to make the project work. And so we're basically helping them to make the project work.
So it'd be 195,000 times 3.
Correct. But we would pull the 195,800 times 2 from utility, and we don't have all of that, but as it's
I think it's a good, I think it's, I can see where we're getting to. I do have just questions on other things, mainly on, do you foresee the future growth of Bayview? Because I know they are subdividing out there. Any of that would be complications that we would see in the future in terms of us pulling water rights from this agreement to where now Bayview may have some concerns in the future that they may not foresee, but is it something that we can see them having an issue on?
I don't know their water right amounts that they have. I don't know what they have versus what they use, but both entities have told me that they have plenty to sell, and they've been selling the last few years, so they're selling it anyway. Might as well sell it to us. So to answer your question, I don't know the details of theirs. All I can go on is that they said, we have enough to sell you to make this deal work.
How long would this agreement be for?
Well, we
Up to we cover the difference of the money that we were putting in for them?
Well, we would make a deal on what that amount is. We know it's 195,800, so we say, okay, it's $3,000 an acre feet. We divide that by, and it gives us
So maybe
62.3 or whatever it is acre feet, and then we will make the transfer of that acre feet from those entities to the city of Los Fresnos, and that becomes ours permanently. A little bit different in agriculture. I know agriculture, it goes with the land, but like right now, there's no, different districts have no water at all. 6 has some, but we don't fall under that same, I don't know, orders, or I don't know how that all works, but the municipal, we can take all, as long as there's water available in the river, we can take all of the water rights that we have. If we run out, then we have to either buy more water rights, or there's a mechanism where you can just buy a one-time deal. Hey, I need some extra for now. We could do that. I don't suggest that because that's not permanent.
I got one question. The new development's going there north of 100 by California Road. Is that going to be under our city water, or is it going to be on Mito water? Do you know?
Oh, me too.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because if you look at social media and even newspapers, well, why is Los Fresnos doing that big development when they're, what do you call it?
Drought.
Through the drought, and you don't have water, and you're conserving water over here. It's going to grow somewhere. Plus, Olmito says they have plenty of water to serve that area, so, I'm sorry, it's not Olmito, it is East Rio Hondo. East Rio Hondo takes the north side. Thank you. And East Rio Hondo is pretty much under the same boat of us, but they're working on a,
Plant, desalination plants and
like
increasing
we
capacity.
have with Southmost Regional is what they're working on, so. A good question, because some people ask, how are you gonna get the water to serve all that? Well, we don't have to.
So that's the only, thing that we need to do on getting the money back is by selling the water rights. We don't have no problems about the landowners about that, going there to the ditch to cover some of the land belongs to the owners close to the to the canal. So we don't have that problem yet.
No, whether it's above ground or covered, they'll be, I'm sure they'll be happy with it covered. They might not be as happy with a trail going back on there, but they'll sure be a lot happier with it covered than uncovered right now, because if you drive, you can tell there's only so much cleaning they can do, and it's just not
Actually,
perfect.
Valle Alto to connect to Nogal, that area is always getting complaints.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a good thing for them. I'm sure they're gonna be really happy. Is there a motion to be made or any more questions?
I'll make a motion to approve to partner with Cameron County Water Improvement District 10 and Bayview Irrigation District 11 to place the irrigation canal under the underground from Nogal Street to the east city limits.
Okay, motion made.
I second the motion.
The motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. And if you oppose, do the same. Motion carries.
Before you go on, just so y'all know, we will come back, this approves the concept. We'll come back for you with interlocal agreements that ties everybody together for y'all to look at, him to look at. Yes, we're good with it. And the water rights purchase.
This is
that comes
our
to-
gesture of we're willing to kind of go forward with it.
This doesn't authorize me to go buy those water rights yet. It has to
No,
come
it's
back
just,
to you.
yeah.
The good thing is that there's already a document that we used for the first phase, so we won't be recreating a lot. So just wanted to be sure you're clear on that.
Thank you for the clarification, Mark. Action item number 8 reads consideration and action to appoint a member to the Los Fresnos Housing Authority. Mark, have any, yeah, we have, let me see. No, we still haven't found anybody. Any names or suggestions? I know Ms. Garrett's doing a great job, and we need a second person in there, or she can no longer serve. Yeah, she's been there for a while. She's a nice lady. Anybody have any recommendations? None? I guess we'll go ahead and table this until we can get some applicants. No action taken. Consideration and action to approve a resolution casting votes for candidates to serve on Cameron Appraisal District Board of Directors. Anybody have any nominations?
I'll make a motion to nominate Alejandra Aldrete and Daniela Lopez Valdez.
How does this work, Mark? Does she make one? Does each of us make one?
It's a 30 votes. Half and
However
half.
she wants. Her? Just one?
Alejandra Aldrete and Daniela Lopez.
We have 30
Valdez.
votes. We can do up to 30.
And who?
Lopez Valdez.
Are you asking for 1 or for 30 or?
$15 and $15.
Do we go individually or do we just motion her, second it?
I would do a second and then,
Is there a second for that?
I'll second that motion.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. 5. Yeah, he motioned. Yeah. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Discussion and possible action to choose an individual for the 2024 Citizen of the Year program. Mark, I know we talked about this the last time, and we had Mercer Cantu, which was a great citizen. I know that, I believe Mr. Munoz had made a recommendation for Barbara Rodriguez. And I know that Barbara, is a great citizen. She's done a lot for the city. I don't know if you want to make a motion. Are you interested in?
Okay, I make a motion that we appoint Barbara as for the city
Citizen of the Year?
Citizen of the Year program.
Okay, is there some motion? Is there a second?
Are we doing a motion? Like last year, I know we had a month for all of us to make a recommendation. I just want to know how we're going about it.
oh, I think the month was, they don't come to be recognized this meeting, but they come next meeting and in January.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Okay. Great, I'm glad
Thank
y'all
you.
remembered.
Thank
You know what, I'm
Jack.
gonna go ahead and second Barbara Rodriguez. I think she'd be a perfect candidate for Citizen of the Year. So a motion has been made and seconded.
What they just reminded me, and didn't remember, is that we brought it up in November and then actually voted on it in December and then recognized them in January. But y'all can do it however you want.
It's because it said possible action, so,
Yeah.
we've already got the motions for that, so, With that said, all those in favor of Barbara Rodriguez signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Will give us plenty of time to have a nice thing for a January meeting.
Yeah, and I know she had lost her husband this past year, so it'd be good for her to be recognizing all the work that she's done. Okay, moving on to acknowledgement of city managers' reports. Mark, is there any items that you want to discuss?
3 quick things. On the street project, they've got all the streets done except East 7th between Arroyo and Pita Street. They're working on the sewer line there. Once they get it done, we'll pave it. So it'll be probably a month still. The other piece to the funding, we got a grant for $500,000 plus $50,000 match for the last year's round of CBDG funds for street work on 5th, West 5th, West 7th, and West 9th. Those 3 are really needed. Plans are 60% complete. They should be 100% complete in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So hopefully get them up to the people that approve them, and they say, yes, we can get bids and get those streets done. If you've been on East 9th anywhere West 9th anywhere, it's the whole thing. So we're doing that whole, it's like 4 blocks. And then it's East 5th from Mesquite to Palma, and East 7th from Fresno to Palma, I think. If you ever drive those, you're going to say, yeah, they need it. The other thing I wanted to let you know on our water funding, If you'll remember, we applied for a huge amount of work to do on our infrastructure system, to old lines that are no longer used, moving them to PVC lines, some that are 6-inch that need to be 10-inch, some that are 2-inch that serve a number of homes, to get them 6-inch, to do some looping, to put some major lines to help pressure in different areas, the tune of $13,252,290. We let you know that they approved that some 6 months to a year ago. They came back last week, and we have loan forgiveness for $9,063,103, or 68.4%. So, in other words, a grant, loan forgiveness, and then $2,190,000 at a 0% interest loan. So that's pretty cool. That's another 16.5%. And then what they call an equivalency loan for the right at $2 million, the other balance that'll be somewhere between 2 3/4 and 3.25%. So right at 3% interest for only that last remaining 2 million. So 60%, 68.4% of it grant. So that's awesome. The other piece is the wastewater funding. If you remember, we've been doing projects when we could get funding for sewer lines, old clay lines, replacing manholes throughout the city. When the city built, the original manholes were done with old clay brick, and you can imagine what condition they are now, from 1950s and 1960s to 2024, almost 2025. There's not much brick left probably. So when we get rains, we get a lot of infiltration, which then causes problems at our sewer plant, because we're not just treating sewer then, we're treating drainage water, and the plant runs hard, the lift stations run hard. And so we've done a lot already that are the main problems. This does the rest of them, and it's $5,867,618. And, oh, I didn't write it down because it came in after. It's pretty close to like 65% loan forgiveness, which is 3.5, almost 4 million. And then 1 point something million is the equivalency loan of about 3%. So that's fantastic news for both of those. We're meeting with, Pablo and I are meeting with the financial advisors to see how we pay for that. I will tell you that in order to pay, even though we got all the loan forgiveness and we get 0% on 16% of the water, there will be required rate increases. There's no way, if you recall, about in 99, 2019, there was a water rate study, and it had every 2 years to go up. They told me to go up the first year and then don't do it anymore, so we haven't. That's why our utility bill is, our utility budget is very tight. We don't have any flexibility anymore because cost has gone up and we haven't changed rates. So that will be part of that. You can move it to property tax. I don't recommend it, but that is a way to fund part of that.
I know we funded through utilities. Is there other measures like sales taxes that we could fund that part of it also, or does sales taxes have to be separate from that budget? In terms of, let's say there's more businesses come in and we increase the sales tax revenues for the city, can we move that budget over to utilities or that cost?
You sure can. Then you need to worry, how are you going to fund streets, drainage, parks, and those, because that's where those funds are in the general fund dedicated. We have between a 2 and 5% increase a year. It probably wouldn't cover it if you stop doing any.
I'm not saying we're not gonna be increasing, it's just trying to see how, and other ways that we could find some money for that budget as well.
We'll work real hard and present you with some options, but the general fund is always available to do that. Generally speaking, you use the utility fund to fund other things, but when I say that, a lot of other cities do. We have taken the practice of leaving all of our utility money in the utility and help do these upgrades and not kick the can down the road. People, a lot of cities, and warn you not to kick the can down the road. I'm a lifer here, and so I have never kicked the can down the road, because after I leave, I'm still gonna be here, and I don't want somebody to say, you kicked the can down the road. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times when you have a change in the political environment, but also change in administration, I'm here for 6 years, I can kick that can down the road and not do the infrastructure improvements that we need to do, and then I'm gone to the next city. And then the next guy or gal comes in and does the same thing, and pretty much pretty quick you're in a deep hole and you can't fund it. I won't mention other cities, but you've seen them in the news in the valley that have done that. We haven't done that, so it takes the tough decisions like water rates, sales tax, like you mentioned, even maybe property tax, shift some funds, or there's a way to do it, maybe funding positions in different places. But yes, we have to be open to all of that.
Mark, I'm sure you'll come up with a great idea. You've been doing it for years, and I know how important the city is for you, so we look forward to hearing a little bit more about your options as time goes by. Any other questions or anything we want to discuss?
One question, the memorial, what's going on with Veterans Memorial out there?
Still not done, and lots of,
I mean, any deadlines, they already passed too?
as the deadlines are all passed. I'm meeting with engineers tomorrow, because I've got some concerns that nothing's being done, and some of the stuff that is being done, not satisfied with some of the work, so I've got a meeting with them tomorrow. So,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was hoping for Veterans Day to have it, but maybe next Veterans Day we'll have it.
Well, maybe, hopefully, maybe.
It's looking nice, but it's just stagnant, nothing's really moving anymore.
Well, maybe they need to come and explain to all of us at this point.
hopefully the engineer tomorrow will.
You should bring them to the meeting. Invite them so we can ask questions. But other than that, is there a motion to acknowledge city manager's reports?
I'll make a motion to acknowledge of the city manager's report.
Okay, motion has been made.
I second.
And seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Acknowledgement of department head reports. Any questions, comments, or 6 of them?
I make a motion, we accept all the department head reports.
Okay, motion made. Motion seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raising your hand. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. It's 7:19. Meeting adjourned.